Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Brittany.
I'm Steven.
And today we are reviewing the latest superhero film from DC Comics, Shazam.
Shazam is a less popular superhero, and it stars a kid named Billy Batson who gets the powers of a wizard, Shazam, and gains all these superpowers. He transforms into a man, and this story is him learning to use his powers for the greater good and what that means for him while still trying to figure out life as a 14-year-old kid.
This is going to be a spoiler-free review, but we do want to discuss some aspects of the plot. I think that the first half of this movie struggles a little bit plot-wise. It took me probably the first act and a little bit of the second act to really get into it, and then the remainder of the second act and the third act I was really sold on and really loved.
Yeah, I felt like there was some issues at the beginning. It felt very bland, I think is the best word I can put it. Cookie cutter. There wasn't anything special going on. And then once Zachary Levi appears and the superpowers get involved, I feel like the film really starts to shine. It focuses more on the characters of the family and Billy and the powers, and that's when it becomes a lot of fun. And speaking of those characters, I think everyone did a really good job in this film. I think the characters is where this film really shines. I don't think the plot is anything like to write home about, but everyone's a lot of fun in this. And in particular, Zachary Levi, I think, carries the film with his charisma. As soon as he gets on screen, the movie just gets a lot better.
We do have a lot of side characters in this film. A lot of them I can't tell you about without being spoilery, but the main one that you see from the trailers is his brother, and this is an actor that we have previously seen in It Part 1. Really liked him in this as well. I think that he carried a lot of the earlier scenes before Zachary Levi showed up, but he did a great job.
Yeah, and as well, I think all the other side characters, they spent enough time in this film to develop them just enough to give them their own flavor, and they were interesting, and I was glad that they were there. They added to the film.
I will say that I very much enjoyed the villain in this movie. It took a little bit to get into their character. I'm not going to say who they are because it's not in the trailers, and I don't, it's not super spoilery, but I still don't want to share it. I enjoyed how much wasn't shown in the trailers for this. But I did really like our villain. I thought they were very formidable, actually had some extreme stakes going on, which we'll talk a little bit more in a little bit. But I just really enjoyed the villain in this one. I was very impressed. One of the bigger complaints I've seen going around about this movie is the inconsistent tone, and I agree with them. I think that especially for the first half of this film is very inconsistent in tone. You whiplash between very dark and very bright very suddenly, and it wasn't a smooth transition between the two, and it just pulled me out of the movie as a moviegoer.
I felt like as you got further through the movie, those two storylines that the film is focusing on start to blend more, and so you get, I think, more what they were originally going for is that, it's dark, but there's kind of fun throughout, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek and making fun of some of that darkness at the same time, and I think that's much more evident in the later parts of the film. I think initially, since those storylines are separate, you just have a really goofy scene, and then it flips to a really dark and intense, more adult oriented scene, and that does make you feel very just what is going on here?
I do want to say that if you are a parent of a younger child, that going into this movie, you probably want to do a little bit of research beforehand or go see it yourself first. I find that the difference between what the trailers portrayed this movie as and what the end result was drastically different. What was shown in the trailer still happened in the movie, but there are a lot of things they did not show in the trailer. It gets very dark. There are a lot of scary and disturbing scenes that went further than I expected a PG-13 superhero film to go. I was just surprised by that. And your kid may be fine with it, but I think as a parent, you should just be aware of that.
That being said, as an adult viewer, I didn't necessarily have a problem with that,
Agreed.
and I actually ended up liking the tone more by the end of the film. Like I said, as those things blended, some of those much darker aspects of the film made more sense to me by the end. I think one thing that's pretty evident in this movie is I think that DC's production studio is still trying to figure out how to make a magical superhero film. I feel like a lot of the building blocks of your typical origin story are present here, and honestly a lot of those tend to be the weaker parts of this film, at least for us. I think that they spend a little bit too much time in the movie on a lot of the generic aspects of like superheroism and not as much on what sets Shazam apart. And I think those are the more interesting parts of the film.
I think a lot of that is also due to the fact that there is a bit of superhero fatigue. I kind of hate that phrase because I don't agree that it's a thing that's happening, but I think that there are certain aspects of the superhero genre, subgenre, that can get a little fatiguing, and a lot of that does have to do with origin stories for me personally. I can't speak for everyone, but I personally am kind of tired of the like, ooh, gets powers, learns new powers. Like, I've seen it how many times over the past decade now? I get a little tired of it, and I agree that they did spend too much time in that section of the film. Overall, I enjoyed this film a lot more than I expected to. I'm not gonna lie, I go into DC films with a lot of hesitancy. I just do. And I think that they're definitely improving in their films. I know a lot of people have loved DC films from the beginning. This is just my own personal taste. They haven't really matched up with that for me. And I've really been enjoying the direction they've taken. I really enjoyed Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and I have enjoyed this one. I even enjoyed Justice League, even though some people didn't. So I do think that they're improving, and I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. And I'm very excited to see what they do with the number 2 based on what they set up in this film.
But as always, we are interested to hear what you guys thought about the film. Leave your ideas in the comments down below, letting us know if you liked it, if you hated it, if you were just kind of meh about it. And make sure you leave a like on this video. It lets us know what you guys enjoy watching so we know where to aim our content. And subscribe if you don't want to miss anything else. We have a lot of fun ideas and videos coming up for you, and we'll see you guys next time.